Hi there, and a very special welcome along to viewers who are joining us on YouTube, Facebook and even NBC Peacock. If you're in the United States, we are absolutely everywhere.
We're everywhere, you can't escape.
Obviously, already some big-name signings. Christian Eriksen has returned to the Premier League. There's still just under 10 hours left until the transfer deadline.
There is indeed. Make sure you check out our transfer video printer at the bottom of your screen as well to keep across all the very latest deals.
Now, Newcastle's latest target has arrived at the club's training ground. One of those big-name signings we mentioned has already got Brentford fans excited.
We'll bring you all the latest deals from the EFL and get the expertise from Joby McAnuff, who joins us in the studio.
The window closes at midnight in Scotland, so could John Souttar become a Rangers player sooner than the summer?
Unless it changes today, then I expect him to be ready for the game tomorrow night.
And we're also live here at Sky Central, getting all the fans' reaction to the big deals that are happening today. And we want you to get involved in the conversation as well. If you're watching on the live stream, drop us a comment, ask us a question in that comment section. And if you're watching and you want to get involved online, you can do on social media using the hashtag #DeadlineDay.
OK, strap yourselves in. We are ramping things up. What about this news? Just 7 months after suffering a cardiac arrest at Euro 2020, Christian Eriksen will return to the Premier League after Brentford completed the free signing of the midfielder.
Hi everyone, it's Christian Eriksen. I'm happy to announce that I've signed for Brentford Football Club. And I can't wait to get started, and hopefully I'll see you all very soon.
Such a good story, this, isn't it? Well, the Brentford boss, Thomas Frank, who worked with Christian Eriksen while in charge of Denmark's under-17s, has said this: "We have taken an unbelievable opportunity to bring a world-class player to Brentford. He hasn't trained with the team for 7 months, but has done a lot of work on his own. He is fit, but we will need to get him match fit, and I'm looking forward to seeing him work with the players and staff to get back towards his highest level." Getting Eriksen's name on the back of a Brentford shirt will no doubt be popular amongst the club's supporters. We caught up with some fans earlier, and they are excited, to say the least, at the signing of the Danish international.
Very exciting player to get at this club. Obviously, hopefully he's fully recovered from his problems he had in the summer, but I think it'll be a big asset for the club, and hopefully he'll stay longer than 6 months.
I'm very excited to see him playing for Brentford. I can't believe that he's back and playing for this club. It's such an amazing story, really.
Watching what happened with him in the summer, you know, it was like really scary to see, and it's just so great that he's back and that Brentford is part of that, you know, and we're so lucky to have him.
He can bring so much, but especially his set pieces. He's so good at corners, and he'll be very good at free kicks, so hopefully we can score from corners and free kicks now.
Right, let's get to Newcastle now. What a 24 hours they've had after wrapping up the deal for Bruno Guimaraes yesterday. Could they add 3 more players today? Well, for the very latest at Newcastle, we can speak with our reporter Keith Downey. Keith, Newcastle closing in on another big signing. Tell us more.
Yeah, Joe, I think you're alluding to Hugo Ekitike, the Stade Reims striker there, who we've been telling you this morning a deal has been reached between the two clubs for him to come here to Newcastle. I have to say, although the fee, as we understand it, has been agreed, 25 million rising to 33, time really looks like it might be against Newcastle's side on this one. They're obviously very keen to bring the young French striker in. It's someone they've been looking at the whole window. They had a £29 million or a 29 total £million bid knocked back just a couple of weeks ago, but it's our understanding that the players going to take a little bit persuading to make the move to come here, and as you know, the clock is ticking down and time is running out, so he would have to make that decision that he wants to come here to Newcastle and take on the project, travel over here, undergo his medical and sign the deal before the deadline this evening. So I would suggest that the time is running out a little bit for Newcastle due to the geography involved in that one. So though Newcastle have got that deal in place for the player, 25 rising to £33 million, it may just fall down due to what the player wants to do. So that would then mean Newcastle need to look elsewhere. As we know, they've been interested in Jesse Lingard all window long. It's our understanding the player is keen to move here. It's our understanding Newcastle United would love to bring him to the football club, but the financials are the problem there. And I think both parties, and when I say both parties, I mean both Newcastle and Manchester United, would need to come to some kind of compromise if Jesse Lingard was to come here. But I think only would Newcastle turn to Lingard if they get a definite no from Ekitike, which I think maybe just a couple of hours ago they felt was going to happen. But I have to say that one is on ice at the moment.
Yeah, and you mentioned that clock is ticking down. I wonder where they are in terms of trying to bring in a few defenders.
Yeah, they've got two here at the moment, Joe, going through their medicals. Dan Burn, we told you, the Brighton defender, arrived yesterday. That after a £13 million fee was agreed with the South Coast club. He's having the second part of his medical today. We'll expect confirmation on that move. The giant defender coming in for big money, I think, for a defender. And I suppose, remember, Newcastle haven't signed a defender here for nearly 4 years now, so that's a big deal for them. And then Matt Targett, the Aston Villa defender, we caught a glimpse of him earlier on, just arriving here at the training ground behind me for his medical. That's a loan deal until the end of the season, I think, with an option for Newcastle to make that permanent. So they're looking to bring in both those defenders today. Both should go through fine, and then all the work goes into the striking department. But what that also means as well, Joe, with the arrival of Kieran Trippier, Chris Wood, and then yesterday the big money arrival of Bruno Guimaraes as well, it means the players need to leave, and we could see as many as 4 or 5 Newcastle United players leave on loan or on sort of short-term permanent deals today as the clock ticks down. Busy day here on Tyneside.
Yeah, lots going on, Keith. Thank you.
And we are hunting down those done deals, one of which, Burnley, completing the signing of the Dutch striker Wout Weghorst from Wolfsburg for an undisclosed fee. Peter Stevenson is our man at Turf Moor. Peter, good afternoon to you. Just give us the details of this deal, please.
Yeah, well, I guess if you're looking for a dream target man to replace Chris Wood, to lead your battle for survival at the bottom of that Premier League, then Wout Weghorst is your man. 6'6" he is. I make it 1 inch shorter than Peter Crouch, just for comparison's sake. But Dutch striker, excited, I'm sure, to be in the Premier League. Let's have a listen to what he feels about his move to Burnley.
To give 100% and give everything for the team to be successful. I think I'm a striker with a strong mentality. I think I'm a striker who is, like I said before, scoring goals. That's my biggest quality. My biggest quality are in the box, 60 meter yards. They are my absolutely strongest. I think I'm also good in the linked up play. I think the team has a possibility to play on with me and to play through with me.
Well, the fee is said to be undisclosed by Burnley, but we believe it to be around the £12 million mark. Chairman Alan Pace says he's a great talent with a fantastic scoring pedigree. That involves 70 goals in 144 games. He'll train this afternoon with his new teammates. He'll take the number 9 shirt, vacated, of course, by Chris Wood's move to Newcastle. And I wouldn't mind betting he's one of the first names on the team sheet come Saturday evening here against Watford.
Thank you, Peter.
Right, it's also expected to be a busy day at Everton, who are looking to announce a new manager as well as bring in some new players. We understand Frank Lampard has arrived at the club's training grounds. Lampard has signed a 2.5-year contract to replace Rafa Benitez, who was sacked earlier this month. We understand Lampard has asked Duncan Ferguson to remain as part of his backroom staff. Meanwhile, Donny van de Beek is also at the club's training grounds, having undergone part of his medical at a private hospital in Liverpool. We expect his loan from Manchester United to be confirmed today.
Now, this could be another huge move. Pierre-Emerick Aubameyang has arrived in Barcelona, but this loan deal from Arsenal still not done. Talks ongoing, though, with discussions over the percentage of the wages that Barcelona will pay. All parties remain hopeful of a deal, a straight loan, concluded by the deadline.
Well, let's get some reaction to that potential deal from former Arsenal striker Leanne Sanderson, who joins us in the studio on deadline day. Leanne, really good to have you with us this afternoon. You hear that, Pierre-Emerick Aubameyang to Barcelona. Do you think it's the right move for him? And was it kind of inevitable that he was going to leave Arsenal?
Yeah, I think the timing of this transfer window has come perfectly for Aubameyang, because I think it was inevitable. He needs to move on. You don't want to see another Ozil situation. I mean, his wages have been a big factor in all of it, haven't they? Because I think he probably would have gone already, but he's negotiating a deal. And I think Aubameyang still has a lot left to give. I know in the last couple of seasons at Arsenal, he hasn't really been firing, but before that, he was. And I know a lot of Arsenal fans are coming out now saying, you know, they wouldn't have re-signed him, but I think that's hindsight's a great thing, because you do re-sign a player that scored, you know, almost 30 goals in a season, and it seemed they would have been really upset if they'd have lost him. I think obviously it's broken down between him and Arteta from last year, you know, disciplinary reasons and stuff like that. But I do think for him, he's still got a lot to give, and I think it makes sense for him to move on to Barcelona. It's a great move for him.
Juventus were also meant to be in for him, and they're looking to offload one of their players. Aaron Ramsey could be in line for a move back to the UK. I've just written down that the clubs he's been linked with recently: Palace, Burnley, Wolves, even Rangers, Newcastle, of course. You know, what will he bring after his experience in Serie A?
Aaron Ramsey? I think the thing is, when I left Juventus, Aaron Ramsey just signed and he couldn't have done any more. He learnt Italian fluently. He was doing really well, but he's had a couple of injuries, but it doesn't seem like he's ever got a run of games. And for a club to bring in a player, he's on nearly 450,000 a week, and to not really have him in the squad is very strange. I still think he's got a lot to offer. The clubs he's been linked with, I've been quite surprised. No disrespect, but even the Burnley one, I was like, really? Because I still think Aaron Ramsey could go to a top team.
Can I ask you Rangers particularly, because we understand, according to our colleagues at Sky in Italy, the Rangers are leading the chase to sign Aaron Ramsey. What about that as a move for the club, for the player as well?
Yeah, a combination of two, I think it would work. I think it would work more for Rangers than it would for Aaron Ramsey, because I think Aaron Ramsey wants to probably be in the Premier League. You know, it's no disrespect to the Scottish League, but he wants to come back. I don't think, realistically, there's talk of him going back to Arsenal originally, maybe on a loan move, but I do think Arsenal being linked to former players so heavily, I think times have moved on. You know, they've got the young players in there now. I think it wouldn't be a step back having Aaron Ramsey, but they've got Smith Rowe, Odegaard, those types of players. But, you know, the fact that he's being linked to all these different clubs is great, but I still think he needs to get games under his belt, similar to Coutinho. You know, Coutinho left, didn't play that much, and he's come back to Villa and he came on and scored almost, you know.
Do you know who Rangers play next, by the way?
Go ahead.
Celtic.
OK, well, that would be a good move for them then.
Oh, my goodness.
I mean, one of the stories of the day so far is Christian Eriksen has returned to the Premier League with Brentford. What do you make of that signing? Is it good to see him back in the Premier League?
Definitely. I think for everybody in world football, it's quite emotional, because, you know, it's one of those things you remember where you was that particular day when it happened, and I remember, like, how I felt when that happened, you know. So the fact that he's able to play, you know, be training. I know he's been training with Ajax and they've signed him on this short-term loan. I mean, you can never doubt Christian Eriksen, his ability, and I don't think Tottenham have ever really replaced him. Obviously, he went over to Italy, but the fact that he's going to be back with Brentford, I think it's a fantastic signing, and hopefully he's really healthy, because he's got a lot to give and his football ability is fantastic.
OK, Leanne, you've got lots more to give us as well. Thank you for now, though.
Fantastic stuff listening to Leanne there. It's going to be a dramatic day, isn't it, in the Premier League, and a very dramatic day in the EFL as well. And throughout the course of today, I'm going to be joined by this man, Joby McAnuff, as we look at all of those deals happening in League One, League Two, and of course the Championship, which is where we're going to start now. Joby, there's only one place to start. The big movers and shakers on this deadline day, clearly Bournemouth, and the news that came out in the last hour, they've agreed a loan deal with Liverpool for defender Nat Phillips. How big is that?
Oh, it could be absolutely huge. You know, a player who has had Premier League interest, clearly, you know, did very well last season at Liverpool when he had to step in with all their injuries, has found his chances restricted this season. But certainly, I think anybody around Liverpool would probably have expected him to go to a Premier League club. So for Scott Parker to be able to step in, it is one of these transfers that has come out of the absolute blue. You know, one that we love on deadline day. I don't think too many people have predicted it, but could be a huge boost for Bournemouth and Scott Parker to get him in the door.
He's not played in the Premier League this season, but he's played against Atletico Madrid and AC Milan in the Champions League and now in the Championship, and that's the type of quality he's going to bring.
Oh, absolutely, and I think from his point of view, he's probably looked at that lack of games this season, and he's still young. He wants to go and make sure he can play the games to improve, and maybe that was a big factor in his decision, going somewhere where he feels between now and the end of the season he's going to get those performances and appearances that he needs for his career.
And we'll move into League One now. And Sunderland remain in talks to sign striker Jermaine Defoe. Oxford United are also interested in Defoe. And the big thing about this one is because Jermaine is not currently tied, he doesn't have to move before today's deadline. He's a free agent following his departure from Rangers, where he spent 2.5 seasons. And of course, at Sunderland, he had a fantastic time as well, scoring 37 goals from 93 appearances in all competitions. You can understand why clubs in League One particularly are queuing up to try and sign Jermaine.
Oh, absolutely. I think we all know what Jermaine Defoe brings, not just on the pitch with his goal scoring, but that experience that he will certainly bring to that dressing room. It will give every single player there a lift. Certainly if I was in League One and potentially some clubs in the Championship, I'll be looking at getting him in the door. There were rumours that potentially Lee Johnson wasn't as keen on the move as maybe some of the owners and certainly the fans. Was that a factor in the decision to let him go, which was the big news that came out of Sunderland yesterday? But for me, any chance you've got to get Jermaine Defoe in the building, you go and get it done. And I think, again, for Sunderland, trying to get that elusive promotion, he could be the man to get the goals and bring that experience to get them over the line.
Joby, looking forward to hearing all of your insights as today's EFL deals go through.
So our EFL Deadline Day Dream Team, Mark and Joby, thank you. Right, we're live to Old Trafford next for the latest on Jesse Lingard's future. Could we see him make a Deadline Day move? Stay with us.
We're all in. We're all in to kick it out.
Right, our own bit of breaking news now. Sky Sports News is officially a carbon-neutral channel, receiving certification from Albert, who are part of BAFTA, so it's effectively an endorsement of our sustainability credentials by the film and TV industry, as we try and keep our carbon footprint as small as possible.
Yeah, and on deadline day, that means doing more broadcasts from base, including our fan hub over at Sky Central, and the man driving that over the next few hours is Kyle Walker. Hi there, Kyle.
Hi guys, yes, that is right. I'm here at Sky Central. I've got a number of guests with me. I'm going to be bringing them throughout the afternoon, getting your reactions, all right? And you can get involved as well. If you're watching on the live stream, drop us a comment. I'll be reading out some of those questions a little bit later on. Plus, on social media, use that hashtag deadline day. We've got Flex and Anita. Let's talk transfers. It's deadline day. What a day it is. The clock is ticking down. Flex, let's start with Manchester United.
You said you wanted to talk transfers, didn't you?
I mean, no transfers incoming. What are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, I expected it, to be honest. It's a little bit disappointing. I think Manchester United fans would agree we need a defensive midfielder. It's something that should be on the menu for a long time, not this transfer window, the last one, the one before that, the one before that. And it hasn't quite happened yet. We've let 2 players go, so I understand with Martial and Donny van de Beek about to go, we do need to strengthen, but we're also in a position, though, Kyle, where there's going to be a lot of change at the club in the summer. There's going to be a lot of players leaving, potentially a new manager, depending on how Ralph Rangnick does. So I can understand where sometimes if the right purchase isn't available, we might have to stick with what we've got until the summer, because there's going to be a natural big overhaul in the squad. But it's just something that keeps coming up. Defensive midfielder, when are we going to get one? Splash 70 odd million pounds on Jadon Sancho in the summer. Me personally, I would have said we do still need that central midfielder. Instead of that, I probably would have gone with at the time. I really would have.
I mean, come on. I
know it's a bit controversial, honestly. I'm happy Jadon's here, but at the time when we got Varane as well, I was like, we still need that midfielder, and we haven't managed to get that midfielder yet.
Now, it's a similar story in terms of incomings at Chelsea as well, or the lack of. Do you think the lack of transfer activity will affect Chelsea towards the end of the season, Anita?
100%. And I understand that we're out of the Premier League title. I get that. But mathematically, it's not there yet, you know? We need to find a way to fight back and claw back. And we've got the FIFA Club World Cup coming up. What are we going to do when all of our players come back tired? Thomas Tuchel has said many times our players are tired. Buy some then. Buy new ones.
It's a great point to actually make. Chelsea fans at home, do you agree with Anita? Are they out of the title race just now? And let's talk about outgoings. You mentioned a couple of names there. Donny van de Beek on his way out. Thoughts on that? Does it mean that Jesse Lingard stays?
I think it should mean Jesse Lingard stays. Don't leave ourselves too thin. For me, we've mistreated Donny van de Beek. We haven't had a chance to see him. And as a Manchester United fan, for me, if I get to see him week in, week out in the Premier League, not at Manchester United, I'll still take that. I want to see what he can offer in the league. He was denied the chance to go there in the summer, it looked like, and looked like he was going to go there, and that didn't happen. He needs to go and play football. He's been out of the Dutch team ever since he's come to Manchester United. It's a World Cup year. It makes complete sense.
Anita, are you surprised that Chelsea have not brought in another left-back?
That should have been done and dusted on day one. I am absolutely shocked. Luca Dean was there. He was right there. He was available. The fact that we did not get Luca Dean, I thought, OK, Emerson, maybe we'll try bring him back. Leon said, nope, and we still haven't done anything. Roberto Salos is doing well at left-back, so let's see what we can do there.
Let's see what happens indeed. Remember, you can get involved at home as well. If you're watching that live stream, drop us a comment. You can add your questions. I'll be watching along and I'll be answering some of those questions later on. Plus, on social media, you can use that hashtag deadline day.
Kyle, brilliant stuff. You heard them talking about Donny van de Beek there. Looks to be heading out of Old Trafford today, but will there be more departures or arrivals? Well, Anton Tolui is at Old Trafford for us. Anton, we were talking about Jesse Lingard just a moment ago. What's your take on it? Could Lingard still get a move away from United?
I think the message is simple, Joe. Any club that wants to cut a deal for Jesse Lingard, no, there is one potentially that can be done, but it isn't going to be cheap. Manchester United want his wages paid in full. They also want quite a sizable loan fee. Remember, the player is out of contract at the end of the season, and it's our understanding has no intention of signing a new deal at the club. We heard earlier about Newcastle United's interests, about potentially making a move if other targets don't come through. Well, again, Newcastle already know how much it would potentially cost to get Jesse Lingard in, because they've tried to negotiate a deal earlier in the window. Now, there's obviously interest from other clubs, including Spurs and West Ham, earlier in the window. But again, as far as I know at the moment, there's no extra movement on Jesse Lingard, so he may well finish the day as a Manchester United player, which won't upset Manchester United. They've obviously got some big games coming up. They're still in the FA Cup. They've got Atletico Madrid in the Champions League, so I'm sure Ralph Rangnick won't mind having him for 6 extra months. Just about other outgoings, obviously mentioned Donny van de Beek. Phil Jones likely to stay at Manchester United past this window, turning down potentially a move to France at Bordeaux over the weekend. And as for incomings, I'm afraid it's all very quiet at the moment unless the market moves over the next few hours.
Thank you, Anton. Leanne, let's get your thoughts on Donny van de Beek. Quite quickly, if you can, how much do you empathise with his situation at Manchester United?
Yeah, definitely, and that's why I was tweeting about it almost, nearly a year ago, saying, get out while you can. A lot of Man United fans came after me and said, well, he's the replacement for Paul Pogba. But as from a former player's perspective, when a manager's not having you, when a situation is not working out for you, you just can see it. And I've been there myself, and I've lived it when I've gone to certain teams and it hasn't worked out, and you feel it. And I think, like what Flex said, completely, we empathise with him because he's literally coming on for 2 or 3 minutes, and this is a player that's been left out of the Netherlands squad. It's a massive year, and players like Donny and Jesse Lingard, they almost need to leave now, in my opinion, to save their careers in a way, because this is a World Cup year, and you don't want to leave it too late because, these players have already been left out of their national teams, and the penultimate is a World Cup.
All right, thank you very much indeed, Leanne.
Now, West Ham look like they will miss out on signing Benfica's Darwin Núñez, so will David Moyes look to pursue any other targets? We'll bring you a live update next.
Yes, breaking news in the last minute on the Everton manager's job. Let's join our reporter Vinny O'Connor live at their training ground. Vinny.
Yes, in the last few moments, Everton have confirmed that Frank Lampard is their new manager. In a statement, the club said that Frank Lampard has agreed a 2.5-year contract and will take charge of the first team for the FA Cup fourth-round tie against Brentford at Goodison Park. The appointment of Lampard comes after a robust recruitment process with several candidates being interviewed by the club's majority shareholder and board of directors. The new Everton manager will be supported by a vastly experienced and talented backroom team made up of Joe Edwards as his assistant manager, Paul Clement as first-team coach and Chris Jones as first-team coach and head of performance. There are quotes from Frank Lampard. He says, "It is a huge honour for me to represent and manage a club the size and tradition of Everton Football Club. I'm very hungry to get started. After speaking to the owner, chairman and the board, I very much felt their passion and ambition. I hope they felt my ambition and how hard I want to work to bring it together. You can feel the passion Everton fans have for their club. That will be hugely important. As a team, the competitive level that the Premier League brings and the position we're in the table, we certainly need that. My first message to the players will be that we have to do this together. We'll try to do our job, and I know the fans will be there backing us." And Frank Lampard will get to work with those players this afternoon as well. He's due to take a training session at 3 o'clock. We also are hearing that Duncan Ferguson and Alan Kelly will remain in their positions at the football club as well. Alan Kelly, of course, the goalkeeping coach. We know that Duncan Ferguson was part of the interview process to take over the job from Rafa Benitez. And we're also expecting developments as regards Frank Lampard's first signing. Donny van der Beek is here at Everton's Finch Farm training ground. That with a view to a loan deal, a loan until the end of the season from Manchester United. He has been undergoing a medical this morning. He was off-site at a hospital in Liverpool. And as I say, we await developments on the signing of Donny van der Beek. But Frank Lampard confirmed as Everton's new manager.
Vinny, thank you very much indeed. So it is done. Frank Lampard is Everton's new manager. We can hear from him right now.
Very excited. It's a huge honour for me to represent and manage a club with the tradition, the size of Everton Football Club. I can't wait to get started. I always had a great feeling whenever I played against Everton as a player, playing at Goodison, felt the atmosphere, felt the passion of the fans. And yeah, very hungry to get started.
So there's so many different facets of the football club that reached out to you, that appealed to you.
Yeah, for sure. I think there are certain clubs in England, as a young boy growing up and as a player and now as a manager, but when you go into the stadium you can feel the passion that the fans have for their club. Very intense. I always at times found it difficult when that passion was against you, in a positive way, obviously, for Everton. Mm-hmm. And I'm very much looking forward to representing that on their side. And they will 100% get the passion that they give when they watch their team. I'll try and bring that as a manager.
It was a meticulous recruitment process. What did you take from the conversations that you had with the owner, the chairman and the board?
Well, it was very positive, and I think from my point of view, to have such open conversations with the owner, with the board, to try and sell my vision for what I can bring to the club. I think you expect a meticulous process with the club, the size of Everton Football Club. But as I say, I'm very pleased that they've given me the role of managing the club. I will do it with all my heart, with all my passion, and bring that. But yeah, the process was as it should be, and I'm very pleased to be here.
Did their passion come through clearly as well?
Yes, very much. Passion and ambition. You know, I think it's, you can see that. I could see that from the outside looking in. But when you have those conversations close up, it's great to feel that. I hope they felt my ambition and how hard I want to work to bring it all together as much as I can. So yeah, really positive talks.
Did the chairman and the owner give you an idea of their long-term vision for the football club?
Yes, they did. I think the most important thing that we all know that we have to focus on is the short term, to get ahead of ourselves. But yes, we know the new stadium that's coming. We know where this club wants to be and where we want to get to. But we know first and foremost probably the challenges that are in front of us right now in terms of league position. We have an FA Cup game next week, and so I want to get to work very quickly on that to deal with the short term. And of course, in the back of our minds is always the long-term vision of the club.
Yes, so confirmation, Frank Lampard, the new man in charge at Everton. Leanne Sanderson is still with us. Leanne, what do you make of that? Is it a good fit?
Yeah, hopefully. I mean, I like Frank. He can't deny his footballing ability. I think the fact that this job has come available, he'd be silly not to take it. I think there's other managers that were in amongst it. Victor Pereira maybe has more of a pedigree when it comes to winning things, and I hope it works out for him, because being a former player and an England legend and stuff like that, I think it can put a lot of pressure on him. But I think, as we've seen, Steven Gerrard going into management has done well, relatively well, but I think it makes sense for him to go there, and I hope for the Everton fans it works out. But I think if I was Frank Lampard, I'd be very happy that I'm linked to these types of jobs, because Everton Football Club is a massive football club. I'm not saying Frank can't do it, but the fact that he's got, you know, very limited managerial experience when you think about it. Derby, yes, he went to Chelsea and got sacked, but I think the fact they've got a different backroom staff with him now that has more experience, I think that will help.
Can I just quickly ask, Donny van der Beek is obviously the name in focus in terms of an Everton potential incoming. How does Frank Lampard do what Ole Gunnar Solskjaer couldn't and Ralf Rangnick isn't right now, and that's get the best out of the player?
Well, let him play. You know,
simply.
I think simply just let him play. None of us have really, I mean, yes, you would have seen clips of him and stuff like that, but they brought him to Man United and he hasn't played. So I think all the Man United fans are really looking forward to actually seeing how much he can do on a consistent basis, and all Man United fans, I'm sure, are wishing him well.
All right, Leanne, thank you.
Now, Christian Eriksen has signed for Brentford on a 6-month deal, making a remarkable return to the Premier League just 7 months after suffering that cardiac arrest. Well, Rebecca Williams is at the Brentford Community Stadium for us this afternoon. And Rebecca, bring us up to date with this one in terms of what it means for the club and Eriksen.
Well, yeah, it's a beautiful day down here and a lot of positivity in the air because, as you say, Christian Eriksen has now signed this short-term contract which will take him to the end of the season, and it comes after those awful images we saw of him last summer at the Euros. He collapsed, he had to have CPR on the pitch, he had suffered a cardiac arrest, and he has since been fitted with a defibrillator. He's been given the go-ahead that he's able to go back to top-flight football. And this is, you know, such an inspirational story. It's a remarkable return for him. He's not in the country yet. We understand he will arrive in a week or so. So I think it's unlikely he'll be available for the next Everton game. However, it's my understanding it's going to take a bit of time for him to integrate himself with the side and get him back up to speed. But certainly, Thomas Frank is extremely excited about this signing. They've got a very good relationship. Thomas Frank used to manage him in the Danish under-17 side. In fact, he said in his statement earlier on today that when he first managed Christian Eriksen, he was just 16 years old, and he has gone on to become one of the best ever players in the Premier League as a midfielder. Certainly, here at the club, there is a lot of excitement. They believe this is a world-class signing. Here's what some of the fans had to say to me a bit earlier on.
We're thrilled. We're really delighted that he's signed. There's been a lot of build-up the last week or so, and yeah, lots of cheering in our house when the news came through, you know, for certain.
Big front player. Like, he can push the ball up front, really good. He can kick the ball, good goals, nice goals, good scorer, big player. He's just a big name. This is really good for the club.
It's a very exciting player to get at this club. Obviously, hopefully he's fully recovered from his problems he had in the summer, but I think it'll be a big asset for the club, and hopefully he'll stay longer than 6 months.
So I'm very excited to see him playing for Brentford. I can't believe that he's back and playing for this club. It's such an amazing story, really.
And what do you think he is going to bring to your club?
Well, he can bring so much, but especially his set pieces. He's so good at corners, and he'll be very good at free kicks, so hopefully we can score from corners and free kicks now.
Well, Christian Eriksen has been training with the Ajax reserves, a team that he previously played for before he joined Spurs. What can he bring to Brentford? We heard lots of the fans what they're hoping for, but clearly they'll be hoping that he can bring some goals and follow on that incredible record he had with Spurs. So it'd be great just to see him back on the pitch and back in the Premier League.
Thank you, Becky. Now, West Ham set to miss out on a couple of strikers from abroad. Could they turn their attentions elsewhere? Jamie Weir has the latest. Jamie, time is running out. You could say the clock is ticking.
Oh, I see what you did there, David, and I wish I was prepared for something funnier to say in response, but I'm not. West Ham, we know that they want to sign a striker. Etikete look as if it's not going to happen for them. Darwin Núñez was the other man. That's not impossible yet, but it's looking increasingly unlikely. It's logistically very difficult. He's in Uruguay. It wouldn't give Benfica enough time to find a replacement either, and Benfica have rejected a €45 million plus add-ons bid from West Ham. They are considering an improved offer, but it's looking tricky, that one, at the moment. They're unlikely to pursue deals also for Liverpool's Divock Origi or Toulouse forward Reece Healey. We know West Ham want a striker and ideally a centre-back as well. We also know they've got money burning a hole in their pocket, but David Moyes is cautious in January, and at the moment it's all looking fairly quiet on the West Ham front.
We'll also be talking about all those deals that are happening across the EFL today as well, from the comfort of this sofa with a man that has played for 8 different clubs in the Football League. It is, of course, Joby McAnuff. Thanks ever so much for joining. I guess we'll probably be talking about Bournemouth a lot throughout the course of this deadline day, because they are, without question, the one team outside of the Premier League that are signing players, and big players. Let's talk about one that's going from Norwich to Bournemouth. We know that there's been discussions between the two football clubs for Todd Cantwell. What a signing he could be for Bournemouth and Scott Parker.
Oh, absolutely, and probably another one that's come a little bit out of the blue. I think certainly from his point of view, his career's just stalled a little bit. He's only made 8 appearances this season, I think only 440 minutes in total, and again, a player that has gone up and down with Norwich, a fantastic ability certainly in the Championship, and he has shown glimpses of it in the Premier League. So certainly from his point of view, an opportunity to get to a club in Bournemouth that can get him back there. Scott Parker's bringing in an absolute unbelievable talent, someone that is creative. Apart from probably Dom Solanke this year, they do need a little bit more creativity in those forward areas. So again, could be a deal that really suits both parties.
You talk about Dom Solanke, clearly a key player for Bournemouth, but he's going to have competition because they've also agreed a deal with Cardiff City for striker Kiefer Moore, who is down on the south coast going through his medical this morning as well. We're expecting that deal to be confirmed at some stage this afternoon. Big striker, Welsh international, and much needed extra firepower in this second half of the season for Scott Parker.
Oh, absolutely. You can tell that Scott Parker's going for goals. He's going for firepower that's going to try and get them over the line. Kiefer Moore, who hasn't had a good season. There has been rumoured interest in the summer, a bid from Wolves that got turned down, and I think since that point, certainly relationship broke down and they haven't got anywhere near out of him this season as they did last year. He scored 20 goals in this league, as you say, also an international, and someone that can just lighten that burden on Dom Solanke at times. And, you know, it's certainly a real sign of intent from Bournemouth with their activity so far today. And
just a quick word on Jed Steer, going from Villa to Luton on loan, in goalkeeper. Important for Nathan Jones to shore up that position.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think for Steer himself, an opportunity to get out and maybe play some games at this stage of his career. Aston Villa have already brought in another goalkeeper, so he's dropped down the rankings a little bit there. So maybe an opportunity just to go out and, you know, at this stage of his career, go and play some games.
Brilliant stuff. Thanks ever so much. We'll be with Joby every hour throughout the course of this afternoon, looking at all of those deals that are happening in the EFL.
A recap of our big breaking story. Everton have named their 6th manager in 6 years. Is Frank Lampard returning to Premier League management? More reaction to come.
We're all in.
We're all in to kick it out.
Welcome back to Sky Sports News on this dramatic deadline day, and we've got some news that's just reached us regarding striker Lys Mousset, who has departed Bramall Lane after securing a loan move to Italy. United have agreed a deal with Serie A side Salernitana, and they will see the Frenchman see out the rest of the 21-22 campaign in Salerno. I can see Joby McAnuff here, who obviously can give us some updates on this one and reaction. Lys Mousset promised so much when he first went to Bramall Lane, hasn't quite delivered, but the opportunity to play in Serie A.
Yeah, again, I think a deal that probably makes sense for both parties. I think Paul Heckingbottom's come in and wants to do things his way. There is talk about potentially bringing Daniel Jebinson back from his loan spell at Burton Albion, who the manager knows really, really well. So I think that could be a factor. And obviously financially as well, it probably makes sense for the football club, where they're not really getting too much out of him on the pitch at the moment, and try and make something happen in terms of getting him off the wage bill as well.
Thanks, Joby.
Welcome back to Sky Central. It's our fans hub. We've got two new faces right here, Kwaku and Nabeed. We need to talk about that breaking news. Kwaku, as a Chelsea fan, obviously an ex-legend in Frank Lampard, new manager at Everton. How are you feeling about that one?
I think it's a good move for Lampard. Obviously, when we saw the Vitor Pereira interview on Sky Sports, mind-blowing interview, really, and I think that kind of elevated Lampard in the estimation of other Everton fans. Like, we don't want Pereira is going to come and tell us how the sausage is made. Frank Lampard, people forget how good of a season he had at Chelsea in his first year. Finished fourth with a transfer ban. Eden Hazard just left the club, and he did a fantastic job. Obviously, the second season went a little bit awry. We were top in November, and he was sacked by January. That tells you more about Chelsea than it does about Frank Lampard. But I think he'll do a good job at Everton. It's going to be difficult. Obviously, let's be honest, they are in a relegation battle. I think they've got too much quality to go down. There's a lot to sort out, especially his backroom staff. So hopefully Frank Lampard does well from the perspective of a Chelsea fan, but it's going to be a difficult job till the end of the season.
Now, Nabeed, you've been getting a little bit of stick on Twitter, haven't you? Because on Transfer Talk before, you were talking about Everton fans maybe not liking Frank Lampard. They've been quite vocal with you, haven't they?
Well, I want to clarify those. I read on a forum a bunch of Everton fans were saying we don't want Lampard, and then I've said it obviously, and I've just received 500 tweets saying we're buzzing for Lampard. We're absolutely excited for him. So I'd like to clarify that Everton fans now are very acceptant of Frank Lampard and very excited as well.
So one half of Merseyside to the other. Let's talk about Liverpool. Luis Diaz, £49 million. That signing's done. Come in the summer. Good business for Liverpool?
Yeah, it's a tremendous signing. I think for a lot of people who are Liverpool fans have constantly said Liverpool need depth going forward. Liverpool's drop-off in quality is too much. They can't compete against City in terms of squad, and now Chelsea as well. Manchester United have been mentioned. I think Luis Diaz is a very explosive talent. He's got everything, in my opinion, to really make it in the Premier League. He just has to adapt. If he adapts, learns the language well, then Liverpool have done one of those deals again where most people would have gone, not too sure. They've snapped up a deal, Diego Jota style, where people are going, it could work, couldn't work. He's had a brilliant season this year, and I'm very, very excited.
Kwaku, you got a bit of a jealous smile on your face right there. Do you think Chelsea should have done a bit more business?
I'm very envious. That Diaz sign is a very top sign. And like you say, it's akin to the Diogo Jota deal that he got done last year. You bring him in with not much fanfare. I know that Spurs were linked with him, but he's one of these players that you can see developing under Jurgen Klopp. And if it does go right, it just shows that Liverpool are doing the right things in terms of refreshing that front line. I know that Mane, Salah and Firmino's contracts are up very, very soon. I'm not suggesting that they're all going to leave, but in terms of going forward with Liverpool, that front line very, very impressive. I'm very envious as well. Like you say, we've done no business. We're trying to scramble and bring back Emerson from loan from Lyon. We need a left back desperately. Our fullbacks have been injured this season, and that's been our biggest problem. That's where our attacking outputs come from. So Chelsea needs to get business done, but I just can't see it happening before the end of the window.
I think the biggest thing for Liverpool here is they've signed another young talent going forward. So with people saying Sadio Mane might be finished, I don't personally think he is, but Liverpool now have this option off the bench. You've got a trump card. You can come on whenever you want. He's so explosive. And if I was a Premier League defender, I wouldn't want to be going up against him.
Let's not forget as well, he was the Golden Boot of Copa America. He's got pedigree. It's not like he's coming out of nowhere. He scored, I think, 14 goals in 18 games in the Premier Liga. So he's a player that does have a lot of quality. It does scare me as a Chelsea fan.
Well, maybe this time on the live stream, in the comments section, or using the hashtag Deadline Day, you might not give Nabeed as much stick, Liverpool fans. But do get in touch. We want to hear from you.
Cahill, thank you very much. Right, just over 3 hours till the deadline in Germany. It's 5 p.m. there. All eyes will be on whether there is any movement on Erling Haaland or Robert Lewandowski's future. Well, Florian Plettenberg joins us live from Munich now. And Florian, we have been talking about Haaland and Lewandowski's future for so long now. Any chance they could move today?
Well, there will happen nothing today for sure, but what is really important to know is that the bosses from Bayern Munich, they made official that they want to extend with Robert Lewandowski. The player was missing that information in the last couple of weeks, and now he knows Bayern Munich wants to extend with him. It's the question of a new long-term contract, but his agent Pini Zahavi, he's waiting now for a call of Bayern Munich, but Rummenigge has confirmed it today at Sky Sports in an interview, President Heiner as well. So everything is underway for a new contract. Now they have to talk, but I think that Erling Haaland will not move to Bayern Munich because he's very much too expensive, and that's not a question right now. But now they have to wait for the yes of Robert Lewandowski, and if he says no, then I think Erling Haaland could be a real option for Bayern Munich again.
Okay, Florian, thank you for now.
Only a minute or so left with Leanne Santos. I can't believe it's gone so quickly. But before you go, what is your deal of this January transfer window, Leanne?
Well, I'd probably say Kieran Trippier or Luca Dina. I think that also Manchester United being able to offload Martial, I think also sometimes the outgoings can also be just as influential. But yeah, I'd definitely say Kieran Trippier.
Anyone that you think could have done better business?
Probably West Ham. I think getting a centre forward through the window, this transfer window would have been good. But I think Manchester United fans often talk about needing this defensive midfielder. But I think there's other problems within the team as well. So, yes, they haven't got a Declan Rice through the window, but at the same time, I think there's a lot of other problems at Man United. We've got such top quality players. You have to get the best out of those ones there now.
Yeah, very quickly, it is deadline day. Any move you're looking out for today?
Jesse Lingard, definitely. I think for himself, he's Manchester United through and through, but I think for himself, I think he needs to move on and play because he's good enough to. So definitely the Jesse Lingard one.
Fantastic. Such a pleasure having you with us.
Thanks,
Wish we could have more time.
Yeah.
Of course, you're going to spend the rest of the day just watching Sky
Watching
Sports,
you guys all day.
Thanks so much, Dan. See you again very, very soon indeed. Of course, big breaking story while we've been on air in the last hour is the appointment officially of Frank Lampard as Everton manager on a 2.5-year deal. He returns to management after a year out. No Vitor Pereira, no Duncan Ferguson, although he will stay at the club. It is Frank Lampard who replaces Rafa Benitez officially.
Yeah, all the breaking transfer news on the way for you. What about this man's future, Aaron Ramsey? Could we see him back in the Premier League or indeed in the Scottish Premiership? We're going to be live to Ibrox in the next hour.
It's busy on the blue side of Liverpool as Frank Lampard becomes the new Everton manager and Donny van de Beek is undergoing a medical.
What a deadline day move this could be. Rangers lead the chase to sign former Arsenal midfielder Aaron Ramsey.
And look who's back in the Premier League. Christian Eriksen has signed for Brentford and fans are delighted.
Very exciting player to get at this club.
I'm very excited to see him playing for Brentford. I can't believe that he's back.
Just so great that he's back and that Brentford is part of that.
Hi there, pace is really picking up here on deadline day. We've got just the man to break it all down for us. Paul Merson joins us here in the studio.
And we're sure he'll have plenty to say on the future of Pierre-Emerick Aubameyang, who is in Barcelona.
This might be the busiest Eddie Howe has ever been on deadline day, but is one of his potential signings hanging in the balance?
Sean Dyche doesn't have that problem. He's got his man. More on the signing of Wout Weghorst later this hour.
Another breaking story. It's a signing for Manchester City, that of Julian Alvarez, a fee of €17 million. Very, very talented young player. He will stay on loan at River Plate in Argentina until the summer. So Julian Alvarez, now a Manchester City player, €17 million fee, but he's staying put for the moment. More on this as we get it.
Yeah, now how about this for a deadline day story? Rangers are leading the way to sign Aaron Ramsey from Juventus. He's been told he can leave the Serie A club, and Giovanni van Bronckhorst wants to bring him to Ibrox. Well, let's get more on this. We can head there now and join Mark. Ben said, Mark, Ramsey is, of course, on huge wages at Juve. How could this deal happen?
Good afternoon. Well, we often say expect the unexpected on deadline day, and that old adage is certainly ringing true for us here today, because that is the big news coming out of Glasgow, that Aaron Ramsey could be on his way to Rangers. As you mentioned, huge wages to potentially take on, but it's our understanding that Juventus are prepared to meet much of those in order to help facilitate a deal. Our colleagues in Sky Italy are telling us that Rangers are in the box seat. They're leading the race to sign Ramsey, the Welsh international from the Turin side, as he looks to get a move away and get first-team football. A number of Premier League clubs had shown an interest in the midfielder, but the likes of Wolves have dropped out their interest of late. They've looked at other targets elsewhere, the same with Crystal Palace. Burnley did remain interested, but they feel that Ramsey is destined to sign for another club, and it looks very likely, increasingly likely, that club could be Rangers. He would, it would appear, to fit perfectly into Giovanni van Bronckhorst's way of playing. He likes to play two city midfielders, one breaking, creating in advance of them. Well, that would be Aaron Ramsey to a T, bringing creativity, bringing goals from an attacking midfield position. He's 31 years of age, but he has huge quality, and the move would make sense for him as well. It would give him game time as he prepares to help, obviously, Wales through those looming World Cup qualifiers. Still work to be done, but huge news and a huge development if Rangers can get this one done. It would be a huge boost for them in the second half of this season. They look to retain their Scottish Premiership crown. They could be bringing Aaron Ramsey here to Ibrox.
Mark, what a story that could be. Thank you.
Right, Julian Alvarez turns 22 today. What better way to celebrate it than signing from Manchester City? Anton Tolui has the latest on this deal. Hi there, Anton.
Oh, yeah, take away all my facts, David. I really appreciate that. I was going to end that with that little fact, but hey, never mind. So, yes, Julian Alvarez is a Manchester City player. A fee of around €17 million. That's around £14 million for the South American Footballer of the Year. Now, he will be in Manchester from July at the earliest. He's going to stay on loan at River Plate until the end of the season at least. Interested in hearing from Marcelo Gallardo, the River Plate head coach, over the weekend. He was hopeful that Alvarez would stay until December. So interesting to see whether that loan deal can be extended. But Alvarez is a Manchester City player. Obviously, look, he's got such pedigree. He's away with Argentina at the moment. He's won Copa Libertadores. He won the Copa America with Argentina in the summer. And like I said, now he is a Manchester City player.
Now, Pierre-Emerick Aubameyang has arrived in Barcelona as he looks to get a move to the Spanish side. Geraint Hughes is at the Emirates Stadium, can bring us the latest on this. And Geraint, we were talking about Aaron Ramsey's wages in terms of his potential move back to this country. Aubameyang is the biggest earner at Arsenal. Could that be a stumbling block to this deal?
Potentially, because I think there's a lot of work going on behind the scenes. I'm just going to pick you up on Aaron Ramsey there, because obviously this is the scene of many of his great days, Aaron Ramsey, when he was a player here. But interesting to pick up on what Mark was saying about that potential move to Rangers. That could be hugely significant for Wales. I'm putting my Wales hat on here because he needs regular football. One man will be very, very pleased if Aaron Ramsey can get a club and regular football. Is the current manager of Wales, Robert Page. He will be over the moon if Aaron Ramsey can get to a club and be playing regular football, of course, with those World Cup playoffs now coming in March for Wales, looking to get to the World Cup in Qatar later this year. Right, on to present matters here at Arsenal with Pierre-Emerick Aubameyang. Listen, we know he is in Barcelona. The talks are ongoing there. We understand that sort of financial agreements are not done yet. And as you say there, this is where there could be a lot of work going on behind the scenes. Pierre-Emerick Aubameyang, a very highly paid player here at Arsenal. Barcelona, listen, it's no secret. They're going through a few financial difficulties at the moment. Will they be able to match the kind of wages that Aubameyang has been getting here at Arsenal? That is what we understand a lot of the talks are centring about. But he is in Barcelona, going through the motions there. We understand as well that as soon as he is able to have a medical, he'll be ready and willing to have one there. So talks ongoing. We know the stumbling blocks, we know the compromises that might have to be made, but work is going on to get this deal over the line before the deadline passes.
OK, we've made a deadline day substitution. Sanderson off the pitch. Merson is on. Good to see you, Paul. Happy deadline day to you. What about this as a potential story? Aaron Ramsey to Rangers. What's your take on that?
Brilliant for Rangers. Absolutely brilliant news. Bad news for Celtic. Brilliant news for Rangers. Yeah, I mean, it just shows you how much them two teams have come on and how big they are, that, you know, Aaron Ramsey at Juventus would go to Glasgow Rangers. So it just shows you how big them two clubs are. In my opinion. In
terms of the player himself, I mean, he needs to play football, doesn't he?
Yeah, but they're going to be playing against Scotland in the World Cup qualifier, and Scotland, a Scottish team, are going to take him to get game time to try and knock Scotland out. I mean, for me, I don't think that makes much sense, but anyway.
How would you assess his time in Serie A?
Disappointing. I think he got behind the 8 ball early doors, got an injury, and I just think when you get a move, you got to start well at a big club like that, and it didn't work out for him, and he hasn't got the opportunities. I'm very shocked there isn't a lot of Premier League clubs in for him. I'm very shocked. You know, he's a midfield player that scores goals from midfield. You know, good player. I'm pretty shocked that there's not more clubs in for Aaron Ramsey as we talk.
Yeah, who would benefit from him in the Premier League?
I don't know a team who wouldn't, if I'm being honest. You know, how many players? There's no Frank Lampards around anymore who score goals from midfield. I mean, you're looking at Newcastle. You know, they're buying players left, right, and centre. You know, he would be the best player they've bought by a country mile, in my opinion.
Newcastle have been linked with him. Also, Palace and Burnley seem to reject their interests. Wolves as well. Good fit.
Yeah, I think so. When you got Coutinho and Neves playing in midfield, and you have him making runs, them two would find him all day long. He'd get bundles of goals. You know, you're only as good as the people who are going to find you. But I mean, that would suit him down to the ground. But you hear that they've pulled out Wolves.
Yeah. What about Pierre-Emerick Aubameyang in talks with Barcelona? What do you make of that situation? Was this one kind of inevitable that he needed to get a move away from the club?
You know what? I thought they might have been able to polyfiller over the situation, if I'm being honest. But that hasn't happened. And I think if you can get him off the wage bill, you've had a result. I mean, if it's for 6 months at 350 grand a week is a lot of money. So I think there might be a deal along the way. I think even Aubameyang might even have to swallow a couple of pound here.
Yeah. OK, we'll be back with you, Paul, in just a moment. Meanwhile, Everton have now confirmed in the last 45 minutes or so the news that we brought you yesterday that Frank Lampard is their new manager. He's arrived at the club's training ground. Vinny O'Connor is there for us. Good afternoon to you again, Vinny. What a first day for Lampard. What has he said about the challenge ahead?
Yeah, well, Frank Lampard has signed a 2.5-year contract with Everton Football Club, and you get the impression that he's more than looking forward to the challenge presented in front of him. He arrived here around about 11:30, driven into Everton's training ground. Actually, already here was Donny van der Beek as well, who'd been off-site having a medical, but Frank Lampard has been here ever since, and the confirmation that he is the new Everton manager came around about 1:30 as well. In that statement that Everton released as well, they said that Frank Lampard, the new Everton manager, will be supported by a vastly experienced and talented backroom team made up of Joe Edwards as his assistant manager, Paul Clement as first-team coach, and Chris Jones as first-team coach and head of performance. We've also been told by the club as well as further guidance that Duncan Ferguson will remain at the club, as will goalkeeping coach Alan Kelly as well. But we'll hear from Frank Lampard in just a moment, but just bring you the quotes in that statement from Everton, from Everton's majority shareholder Farhad Mashiri. In it, he says, "I'm really delighted that Frank has joined us. He is an impressive young man on and off the pitch. He has played at the very highest level of the game and has football in his blood. He impressed us all greatly during the interview process, and we're all ready to give him all of our support as he looks to give the team an immediate boost." As for Everton chairman Bill Kenwright, he had this to say: "Frank impressed us greatly throughout our process, coming across as a modern, ambitious and exciting young manager. He expressed a clear vision on how he wants to take the club forward and, importantly, a tremendous passion and genuine enthusiasm to join us. I'm sure Evertonians will give him the special welcome that only they can, and will be looking forward to giving him and his coaching staff a warm Goodison welcome next weekend." That comes in the FA Cup 4th round at home to Brentford, of course, and this is what Frank Lampard had to say earlier today.
Very excited. It's a huge honour for me to represent and manage a club with a tradition the size of Everton Football Club. I can't wait to get started. I always had a great feeling whenever I played against Everton as a player, playing at Goodison, felt the atmosphere, felt the passion of the fans, and yeah, very hungry to get started. I think the most important thing that we all know that we have to focus on is the short term, to get ahead of ourselves. But yes, we know the new stadium that's coming, we know where this club wants to be and where we want to get to. But we know first and foremost probably the challenges that are in front of us right now in terms of league position. We have an FA Cup game next week, and so I want to get to work very quickly on that to deal with the short term. And of course, in the back of our mind is always the long-term vision of the club.
Lampard's first signing looks to be Donny van der Beek. We await confirmation of that, and we also expect further incomings at Everton today.
Indeed, Vinny. All right, let's get Paul Merson's reaction to the appointment of Frank Lampard at Everton.
Yeah, I like it. I think it's a good signing for Everton. I think he's a good manager. You know, at Chelsea, he tried to win football matches. You know, sometimes might have been his Achilles heel sometimes. I think certain games at Stamford Bridge where it was 0-0 and the game was going nowhere and you thought, not going to score in a month for Sundays here. Other managers maybe would have just shut up shop and said there's a point's a point. Frank would go for it. He changed the team, he put forwards on, and sometimes get beat 1-0, and that was probably his Achilles heel. But I like him, and I like Paul Clement going with him. I think Paul Clement's a good coach, a real good coach.
Good combination, those.
Yeah, good experience. You know, Frank, I probably would have known him when he was at Chelsea, when he was Chelsea before, and I just like him. He's worked with Real Madrid. I know it didn't work out as a manager, but some people are good managers and some people are great coaches, and he's a great coach.
OK, Paul, thank you. We'll come back to you shortly for more. We're also going to go back to Newcastle because they've already signed 3 players this month. Another Matt Targett is at the training ground right now as Newcastle look to complete those deals today. We'll be live for the latest next.
We're all in to kick it out.
Less than 8 3/4 hours to go this deadline day. Newcastle desperate to sign a forward with the move for Ugo Ekitike from Raz hanging in the balance. Let's go back to Keith Downey, who is live at Newcastle's training ground for the very latest. Keith, could Newcastle now be looking elsewhere for a forward?
Yeah, David, the decision that Ugo Ekitike is yet to make has ramifications as to another big-name player and a potential arrival here at Newcastle United. We can tell you this afternoon that Newcastle are pushing to bring in Jesse Lingard from Manchester United. It's a player that they've been keen on all window long. We know that they have been in talks with Manchester United. It looks like it had reached a bit of an impasse in the last couple of weeks, but with Ekitike, as you say there, David, hanging in the balance, I think Newcastle United are beginning to look elsewhere, but they do have competition, as we understand it, from West Ham United as well. As we understand the Lingard situation, Newcastle very keen to bring him in. They are pushing hard to do so this transfer deadline day. Lingard too would be keen on the move, but the decision rests in the hands of the Manchester United board, who are so far this window yet to strike a deal for someone who looks like he's pretty much out of the picture at Old Trafford. So as Ugo Ekitike stalls on a move here to Newcastle United, it would be a big move for a teenager. A decision I think he felt he wouldn't have to make until that revised, improved offer came in from Newcastle last night. As he stalls on that, Newcastle beginning to push hard elsewhere, knowing that they need a forward in for their push between now and the end of the season to try and stay in the Premier League. So it should make for a fascinating afternoon and evening, David, as Newcastle look to bring in either Ekitike or Jesse Lingard, but either, of course, would be a huge story in these parts.
And aside those two names, Keith, what other business are Newcastle working on?
Yeah, well, they've got two players in currently undergoing medicals in the northeast, David. Dan Burn, we told you about yesterday, travelled up from Brighton. That after Newcastle struck a £13 million deal with the Seagulls. So he's putting the finishing touches onto his deal at the moment. And Matt Targett, the Aston Villa left-back, who we caught a glimpse of here at the Newcastle United training ground around about 11 o'clock this morning, is also in the building going through a medical as well. That's a loan deal until the end of the season, and they're negotiating on whether to have an option to make it permanent at the end. So busy times here on Tyneside as Newcastle looking to bring in 3 new players.
Thank you, Keith.
Right, let's head back to Sky Central now. Kyle Walker is at the fans hub for us. Kyle, what have you got for us?
Well, the debates are raging on here. I'm keeping all the fans apart from each other when they're not on air because the transfer deadline day is provoking lots of conversation, let's say. You can get involved at home as well. If you are watching on that live stream, drop us a comment, drop us a question. We want to hear from you. And, of course, on social media, use that hashtag deadline day. We've got Nabeed and Anita with us. Let's start with a big question, which everyone was arguing about before. Anita, have Chelsea got enough to catch the likes of Liverpool and Manchester City?
We were doing fine before. I totally think that Liverpool, a drop-off is coming soon. Sorry, Nabeed. A drop-off is coming soon. And Chelsea, we have the manager, we have the players to catch up with Liverpool. Manchester City, I'm not entirely sure. Once Man City goes on a run, there's no stopping them. So I think we can catch up to Liverpool, possibly overtake you, get that second spot, you know? Get that second spot.
Jump in, go on.
My feeling here is on the basis of what? I think Liverpool still haven't hit the heights that we're expecting. And also I think Chelsea and Tuchel are still trying to figure out what their front three is. And as long as that keeps rumbling on, I don't think Chelsea will be catching Liverpool City.
Would you say that Chelsea are in that same bracket as Liverpool and Manchester City? They won the Champions League last season. They've got silverware. They've got a great manager. They've got a great squad as well. Are they the same?
They tick all the boxes. They've got a great set of fans. Like you said, a top coach. Genuinely think he's in the top 2 or 3 in the world, along with Pep and Klopp. My only thing is, as I say, is he's got all the tools there. And this is where, if I was a Chelsea fan, I'd be saying, he's got all the tools. and you're not as close as you should be to Man City. I tip Chelsea to win the league this season.
Oh, come on, that's premature.
Yeah.
That's so premature. Yeah, Tuchel hasn't got his players in yet. You need to give him some time.
So why have they not done that yet then, Anita? In January, or has he been given enough time yet, enough transfer windows?
Kyle, I'm asking you. I don't understand. I don't understand. Another transfer window this summer, I expect Chelsea to go all out for Thomas Tuchel. And if that does happen, then we can say, OK, he can win the Premier League with this team. But until then,
honestly,
no Premier League
at the start of this season, though, everyone was saying City don't have a striker. City can't win the league without a striker. Chelsea haven't won it, but so do we, and City are still leading the league title.
That is very true. Make sure you do get involved in this conversation. You can have a go at Nabeed as well if you want for some of his comments, even though he's trying to please all the Chelsea fans right there. Jump in the comments on the YouTube live stream, or you can use the hashtag Deadline Day. We want you to join in that conversation.
Thank you. Yeah, do get involved. Paul Merson is with us for the next couple of hours as well. Paul, we heard from Keith Downey at Newcastle just a little while ago. Looks like they're going to be pretty busy today. How much do they need to get these ones over the line?
I would say getting as many players as they possibly can. I think it's only for the next 6 months. I think some of the players they're bringing in, you're thinking next season, if they stay up, will they be playing for Newcastle United? I'm not sure if you're talking about the signings they'll want to bring in then, but if they get these signings in, they stay up. I think it's been a major coup, but that only time will tell.
Yeah. So, do you think they've done enough in terms of the players that they've targeted and brought in to stay up?
They've had a go.
Yeah.
I think that's the best I could say. They've had a go. They brought in a few players like Trippier, and they're looking at Target and Wood, who you ain't got to wait for them. It says what it says on the tin. And they played in the Premier League. My worry would be the players that are coming over from abroad. You're coming into a battle. The 3 players I just told you there would probably run for a brick wall for you. The other players that come in, 1, I don't know them, 2, they don't know the league. That might be a worry.
Yeah, and of course Burnley, in terms of that relegation battle in there as well. Chris Wood moved to Newcastle. How important was it for them to get a replacement for Wood? Oh, major. And I like the new signing. I like him. I've seen him play in Holland when he played for the Dutch team, and he's a big lad. And what Burnley are going to do, they're going to get the ball forward. They're just going to get the ball forward. The big advantage they got, they've been in this position quite a few times in the last few years. So, Sean knows what he's doing, and I like the signing. I think it's a good signing. Yeah, in terms of deadline day signings, amazing news. Christian Eriksen back in the Premier League with Brentford. What do you make of that? Is it great to see him back? Oh, amazing. I mean, for me, that's the best thing about the transfer deadline today is Eriksen being back in football. And to be at Brentford, who are a good family club, come up first time in the Premier League. I think it just ticks every box. I think it's a real. If it was a film, you'd watch it. Do you know what I mean? And that's what it's all about. I think, football sometimes is bang bang, money here, money there, money there. There's some nice stories as well, and I think that's a great story. Yeah, absolutely. Paul, thank you for now. We'll have much more from you later this hour. Thank you.
To what's becoming a tug-of-war over Jesse Lingard. Newcastle United and West Ham both making a deadline day push to sign the player on loan. Lingard has met with Ralf Rangnick today, and the Manchester United interim boss has given his blessing for Lingard to leave this window. And the final decision is now in the hands of the Manchester United board, who are yet to respond to either club or indeed to Lingard's representatives. His contract expires in the summer. Lingard keen to move before the window shuts tonight. He wants regular first-team football so he can play his way into Gareth Southgate's England squad ahead of this year's World Cup. So Newcastle and West Ham both making a deadline day push to sign Jesse Lingard on loan.
Oh, it's starting to heat up, isn't it? As you can see, I'm over on the sofa with Joe B. McAnuff, who had 8 teams in the Football League, and we're doing a little EFL update now, or really, actually, it's a Bournemouth update, because they are most certainly the movers and shakers today in the Championship. It's difficult to know where to start, but one deal that has been confirmed by the club over the course of the last few moments is Freddie Woodman, the goalkeeper on loan from Newcastle. We know that there was interest in the summer. The deal nearly happened, but there was an injury to Dubravka, so it didn't happen. But Scott has finally got a man that he's been admiring for a long time. Yeah, really, really good keeper at this level. Was obviously on loan at Swansea for a couple of seasons, part of the playoff push. He missed the first season in terms of the playoffs with an injury, but was involved last year. And again, as you say, it looked like he was going to come out and get some more regular football in the Championship, but that deal didn't quite happen. So I think for Scott Parker, it is one that has been in the pipeline for a long time.
will add massive amount of experience. Again, a player that we know has performed very, very well at this level. And I think down that stretch mark, that's the most important thing, to have players that you know are going to deliver when those big, big games come.
It's difficult to know where to go next, because every single one of the signings that Bournemouth are trying to make today are huge, huge signings for the Championship. Todd Cantwell, Norwich to Bournemouth. We believe a loan option is being discussed at the moment, potentially a medical this afternoon. A player with immense talent, but he hasn't quite worked out for him this season. But at 23 years old, Bournemouth could be getting a real gem.
Real good bit of business, this, and I think it underlines how important it is for Bournemouth to get promoted this season. Spot Parker has spoken about wanting to get reinforcements. I don't think anyone believed how big they would be going when you're talking about the types of players like a Todd Cantwell that looks like he's going to come in. And again, it makes sense from a business point of view. 6 months left at Norwich for him. I know there is an option on his contract there, but no massive commitment beyond this season. So come in, hopefully do a job, get us up, and then we'll have a chat at the end of the season. But in terms of his talent and his ability, absolutely unquestionable.
So many other deals happening in the Championship as well. Just a couple I'll look at. Obviously, Nat Phillips as well, potentially going to Bournemouth. Jed Steer to Luton Town on loan from Aston Villa. And Jermaine Defoe, what a player he could be. That's Jed Steer up there. Jermaine Defoe could be a massive signing for a League One side, couldn't he?
Oh, absolutely huge. You know, I think certainly from Sunderland's point of view, if I was up there, I'd be doing everything I could to get Jermaine Defoe in the door. We know how important it is for them to get that promotion from League One this season. And for me, his experience, his goals, his quality, he looks after himself. Yes, he's 39. I played till 39, but you know, he certainly has looked after himself. And you know, there's no reason why he can't go in there and score some goals for them.
One word, were you good at 39?
Yeah, I was all right. I don't think I was as good as Jermaine Defoe.
Jermaine Defoe. So much happening in League One. So let's give you a quick update here. Charlton have signed attacking midfielder Scott Fraser from Ipswich. He's signed a contract until 2025. Also looking at Ipswich and also leaving Ipswich is John Nolan. He's agreed a mutual termination of his contract. Earlier on, we brought you the news that Gillingham had made a signing. Yes, a new manager. Neil Harris is the new boss there. And finally, Doncaster have signed striker Rio Griffiths from Lyon. He's moved on a 2.5-year deal. And in the latest few minutes, actually, Oxford United have announced the signing of Marcus Brown from Middlesbrough.
Mark and Joby, thank you. Now, Tottenham are still waiting to complete a double signing from Juventus. This man, Dejan Kulusevski, currently in London having a medical, will be at Spurs training ground for an update next.
Right, let's get to Tottenham now. They've agreed deals with Juventus to sign Dejan Kulusevski and Rodrigo Bentancur, but could we see a few players waving goodbye to Spurs as well? Well, Paul Gilmore is at the Tottenham training ground for us and can bring us up to date. Paul.
Yeah, Joe, good afternoon. We're expecting those two players you mentioned to be confirmed this afternoon. But yeah, departures is really where it's at. First of all, the ones that look highly likely to happen, or indeed will happen. Tanguy Ndombele is going back to Lyon. He's in France. That's initially on loan for 6 months, but with an option to buy included. Interestingly, the reported option to buy fee is around £54 million. That's what Tottenham paid for him to make him their record club signing. So a good bit of business from Tottenham for a player that clearly has been underwhelming, it's fair to say, in his Premier League career. It just hasn't happened, that partnership, has it? Also, Bryan Hill is in Spain, completing a move to Valencia. That's on loan. Tottenham hoping he can benefit from that, come back a better player, or certainly ready to make more of an impact. And Spurs and Villarreal still very much in talks over Giovanni Lo Celso. The interesting one today is Dele Alli. Really interesting. I was told last week that Everton were among the clubs interested in him. Well, can they get a permanent deal for Dele Alli over the line before today's deadline? That is the big question. Lots and lots of information swirling about at the moment, but Dele Alli and Everton perhaps just one to keep an eye on this afternoon, and we will do that. We're trying to get as much information as possible for you, but certainly a busy day here at Tottenham's training ground on the final day of the transfer window.
Thank you, Paul. We are live on Sky Sports app, skysports.com, on Facebook, on YouTube, on NBC Peacock in the United States. And on top of that, we've got the transfer video printer going on at the bottom of your screen. It's all happening. It's all happening for Liverpool. They secured the most expensive deal of the window so far, signing Luis Diaz from Porto for around £45 million. Any more arrivals today? Craig Slater is there for us. Hi there, Craig. Looks like Liverpool closing in on a deal for the Fulham teenager Fabio Carvalho. What can you tell us about that?
Yeah, well, Jurgen Klopp, the Liverpool manager, praised the team's operations department after that hard-fought capture of Luis Diaz yesterday. Julian Ward, a key figure amongst them, essentially the club's transfer negotiators. And you can see a sure-footedness about their transfer business, maybe evidenced by the bids and deals that they're underfoot today. Yes, Fabio Carvalho, 19 years of age, England youth international, Fulham's attacking midfielder. Liverpool have a £5 million bid in for him. They're prepared to loan the player back to Fulham to aid their promotion push, which is a nice sweetener for them. But Fulham under pressure perhaps to sell because Carvalho out of contract at the end of this season. Liverpool want the deal done today, though, if they can, because they do not want any kind of transfer fee tribunal to set the fee in the summer, if that can be done. What about a couple of loan moves perhaps out of Liverpool today? Centre-back Nat Phillips looks to be Bournemouth bound. A loan deal agreed there for the remainder of the season. He's to have his medical down there. A loan fee involved in that, so Liverpool recoups some money, and you can understand the sense there too. No contract pressure on his sellability in terms of his fee. Liverpool puts him on a long-term deal in August, so some extra football for him either means he comes back a revitalised prospect, either at his parent club or with enhanced marketability in the summer transfer window. Nico Williams in a similar position as well. He's cut short a holiday to weigh up his options today. Limited opportunity for him at right back in the Liverpool first team at the moment. He's also under consideration by Bournemouth. What about some significant frontline outgoings at Liverpool today? We've talked about Divock Origi or Takuma Minamino as well, possibly outgoing in this on deadline day today. The club under no particular pressure to let either of them go. They're campaigning on 4 fronts, remember, and they've got 6 games alone in February in 4 different competitions, so they will need options and the ability to rotate players. But yeah, possibly one significant incoming, maybe some outgoings at Liverpool on this deadline day.
Thank you for the moment then, Craig.
Right, let's get more from our studio guest, Paul Merson now. And Merce, we always like to get former players' tales of deadline days past. How much have transfers, the way they're conducted, changed from when you were playing to now?
I don't know if they have, as it goes. I think, you know, you know what you're getting, you know what the deal's going to be before anybody else even knows about it. I mean, that's always been the case. You know, a player's not going to go to a club and go, I want to leave, and they go, OK, then you go, oh, wait a minute. And the club you're going to go, all right, we'll give you 30 quid a week. You know, it's all done, you know. And I don't think that's changed. I don't think that's changed too much. I think, you know, transfer deadline day, I mean, it just ramps it up and it makes it more fun. But it does surprise me that we get down to this day. You know, you have all month and then it's a mad panic, and then it's, you know, tonight when I'll be watching at 10 o'clock tonight and they'll still be rushing things through, and I think, why hasn't it been done before that? You know, we're just talking about the Dan Burn one, and you said, has it been done? And you go, I'm not sure, and it seems like, why has that not been done yet? So, yeah, I've had a couple. I went to Middlesbrough. I was offered a lot of money. A lot of money. I mean,
yeah, I mean, even us. I'm
not going to lie. You know, it's a bit like the Newcastle situation. You know, it was a lot of money.
If you were playing now, given the predicament that Newcastle are in, would you still be tempted to go there? Not just for the money, but in terms of projects and what Eddie Howe is trying to build there?
You know, through past experiences from going to Middlesbrough, and I loved it at Middlesbrough in the end. I did, don't get me wrong, I loved the people there and the club. But at the start, I went for the wrong reasons. I went for the money at the start, I'm not going to lie. And if I had to do it all over again, I wouldn't go.
Okay.
I wouldn't. And that's no disrespect to Middlesbrough Football Club. It's, you know, it's not about the money. You want to be happy and you want to be playing football and you want to be where you want to be. And, you know, and so we were in the Championship. I took a big chance. In the end, it worked out well and we got promoted and I went and played for England in the World Cup. But, you know, I'm being honest.
It's funny how things work out, though, isn't it?
It is. Arsenal won the double. No.
Oh, everyone wins.
But yeah, you know, everybody won. Then Tony got the unbelievable goal at the end against Everton. So, you know, something that I'll never forget, beating Oxford and then Tony getting that. But yeah, it's different. It is different. And then obviously I left Middlesbrough a year later and I went to Aston Villa. I wanted to get back down south, and Aston Villa coming for me. And probably I would say out of my whole career, I played my best football at Aston Villa. So when people say, oh, how old they 30, I was 30 at Villa and I played my best football my whole career. So, you know, it depends how much. If you're in good shape, it doesn't matter how old you are. And you've got to be around good players.
Yeah, and what about the perspective if you are a player in a team and you're looking at these names that are being chucked out there in terms of players that your team might potentially be bringing in to play alongside you? What is that like? Has that ever happened to you when you were playing and you were looking at a player coming in and you were getting really excited about the prospect?
I had it at Arsenal with Dennis Bergkamp. You know, the club rung me up and said, you know, we're going to give Dennis Bergkamp the number 10 shirt. I was wearing the 10 at the time, and yeah, not a problem. You know, it's Dennis Bergkamp. I mean,
so what were you more focused on, the fact you'd lose the 10 shirt or that Dennis Bergkamp would be
Dennis Bergkamp was coming. I mean, our first training session, I never forget it. We was in one of the Scandinavian countries, and we trained, and we were walking back to the hotel because it was near the training ground. And I just remember us all going, Inter Milan must be unbelievable to let him go. Like, he was so good, it was just... Oh. And I think that helps. I mean, when managers bring players in, top players, you just don't understand how much it improves the other players. The training went up tenfold, and you know, and it was the same again, I suppose, when Thierry Henry come in and people like that. And then my last move I had was to Portsmouth, you know, where I went there with Harry, who was, you know, probably I would say the best man manager I ever played under by a million miles.
Yeah, Paul, interesting stuff. We could talk about it all day, but yeah, I know. We do have to get to
wasn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. Oh. What about this news on deadline day? Just 7 months after suffering a cardiac arrest at Euro 2020, Christian Eriksen will return to the Premier League after Brentford completed the free signing of the midfielder.
Hi everyone, it's Christian Eriksen. I'm happy to announce that I've signed for Brentford Football Club, and I can't wait to get started, and hopefully I'll see you all very soon.
Well, Brentford boss Thomas Frank, who worked with Eriksen while in charge of Denmark's under-17 squad, said this: "We have taken an unbelievable opportunity to bring a world-class player to Brentford. He hasn't trained with the team for 7 months, but has done a lot of work on his own. He is fit, but we will need to get him match fit, and I'm looking forward to seeing him work with the players and staff to get back towards his highest level." Well, getting Eriksen's name on the back of a Brentford shirt will no doubt be popular amongst the club's supporters. We caught up with some fans earlier, and they're excited at the signing of the Danish international.
It's a very exciting player to get at this club. Obviously, he's hopefully he's fully recovered from his problems he had in the summer. But I think it'll be a big asset for the club, and hopefully he'll stay longer than 6 months.
I'm very excited to see him playing for Brentford. I can't believe that he's back and playing for this club. It's such an amazing story, really.
Watching what happened with him in the summer, you know, it was like really scary to see, and it's just so great that he's back and that Brentford is part of that, you know, and we're so lucky to have him.
He can bring so much, but especially his set pieces. He's so good at corners, and he'll be very good at free kicks, so hopefully we can score from corners and free kicks now.
Along with Julian Alvarez from River Plate to Manchester City, another done deal, Burnley. They've made a big signing, all 6'6" of it. We'll hear from Sean Dyche's new recruit.
We're all in to kick it out.
Welcome back. You may be aware of a video circulating on social media of Pierre-Emerick Aubameyang arriving at El Prat Airport in Barcelona. Now, we're told that Arsenal are surprised that the player has arrived in Barcelona before a deal has been agreed. The financial side of a deal with Barcelona yet to be sorted. Talks continuing between the clubs over the percentage of his wages that Barcelona will pay. Apparently, Aubameyang has already agreed to make financial sacrifices. But the latest we have is from the Arsenal side of things. They've told us that they are surprised that he's arrived in Barcelona at all.
Yeah, right, it is an 11 p.m. deadline here. The deadline in Italy is 7 p.m. It will be a busy day for Juventus. So Francesco Casati, who covers the club for Sky Italy, joins us live now from Milan. Francesco, good to talk to you. And we've got to start with Aaron Ramsey. Is he going to end up at Rangers, as is being suggested?
Yeah, good afternoon from Italy, from the last day of Calciomercato. Yes, the name of Aaron Ramsey, one is of the most hot names in this moment, because he's very near range of Glasgow, very near to this pass from Italy after 2 years and a half of this Juventus experience. Very good in the first part of his career, but at the end, the last months, he played really few matches. He didn't have the best feeling with the manager, with Massimiliano Allegri. Now, in the last day, with this big opportunity to come back in the Scotland Championship to go to Rangers. We know that the situation is not ended, but the player is so near to Rangers Glasgow.
OK, what about Tottenham closing in on deals for Rodrigo Bentancur and Dejan Kulusevski? Should Spurs fans be getting excited about what they're getting in these players?
Yeah, we know that two players like Kulusevski and Bentancur arrived to the Tottenham. Yesterday we spent all the day near Dejan Kulusevski, this important player. That is a player is like a winger. He can play like a midfielder, but very offensive with offensive skill. We stayed the day with him. At the end, yesterday evening, depart from Turin to London, and in the next hour will be official like a player of Tottenham. Then Bentancur, now he's in South America because he played with the Uruguayan national team. Then he became a Spurs player. Two important caption for the Spurs.
Francesco, thank you very much.
Right, welcome back to Sky Central. It is our fans hub for deadline day. We've got Kwaku and Flex joining us. Guys, the conversation's great. Online, it's great as well. Make sure you get involved using that hashtag deadline day. Flex, the big question, Manchester United, have they got what it takes to secure that top 4 spot?
I'd say yes. It's going to be tough. Would have liked maybe a couple of incomings, but like I said in the earlier show, a little bit difficult to get that done. So I think we do need to hang on to Jesse Lingard now. I really do. We're a little bit thin now, so I don't want to see him go out. But with the squad we've already got, we've got to.
I mean, you've got a big smile on your face when he said that.
You're in the top 4 race as well.
Do you agree? Do you agree?
If a team that signs Rafael Varane, Jadon Sancho and Cristiano Ronaldo don't finish in the top 4, I will never let you live that down. They have to. The
expectancy's there, and Kwaku's right. The expectancy went up with Ollie as soon as those players signed, but I know we're going for a transition under Ralph Rangnick. But player for player, in terms of you look at our squad versus Tottenham's, you look at it compared to West Ham's, look at it compared to Arsenal, Manchester United should be getting that top 4.
Well, rival fans can get in touch. If you're watching on the live stream, drop us a comment and a question. I can see them live right now. We've got some of your questions that have come in. Plenty of you asking on social media about Aaron Ramsey. Rangers leading the race for him. Do you think that's a good fit, Kwaku?
It's an amazing fit for Rangers. It's a huge coup for them. They're obviously challenging Celtic at the top of the SPL. And Aaron Ramsey is a player of incredible pedigree. He's a player that's done it at the highest level. Of course, it's not gone well for him at Juventus. I wouldn't say well, but has not gone right for him. And coming to Rangers, he's only going to make a marked difference to them. And partnering with Joe Rebo midfield, Rangers have got a good duo there.
Now, plenty of people have been getting in touch with this one. It was always going to happen. Favourite deadline day signings? Flex, I'll start with you. Who's yours?
There's a few. I was watching this very programme when Dimitar Berbatov was in the double glazing windows, walking in the front of Old Trafford, that famous shot. It's got to be Dimitar Berbatov for me as well. He was such an underrated player by so many as well.
Kwaku, quickly, who's yours?
It's got to be El Nino, Fernando Torres. The Chelsea career didn't go to plan, but that goal in 2012 will live in infamy forever.
I'm sure people in the comments will be giving us who their favourite deadline day signings are as well. Do you agree with this, guys? For Chelsea, for Manchester United, who is yours? Get involved on that hashtag deadline day.
Carl, Flex, Kwaku, thank you. Right, let's get a little bit more value out of Paul Merson and this latest Pierre-Emerick Aubameyang situation. Not that we don't. Of course we do all the time. But the club said that they are surprised that Aubameyang has travelled to Barcelona. But it's deadline day and we've got just over 8 hours to go. Are you surprised?
Not really, and I say that because I just think sometimes Aubameyang does what he wants to do. Sometimes I do, and I think he's trying to push this through now. So I think he's just gone over there. He's got nothing to lose, has he? What's he got to lose? If he doesn't go, he's going back to Arsenal and he's going to pick up big wages for the next 6 months.
Is it a little bit like a glamorous version of Peter Odom-Wingy going to QPR, in 2013.
Very much so, very much so, but at a next level. I mean, it's just a shame Barcelona ain't the Barcelona of old, and then it would be a major story. But, you know, it's a story at the moment where it's not the team that it used to be. But, yeah, he just does what he wants to do every now and then, and he's doing that now.
Yeah, and if this one does happen, where does this leave Arsenal? Because surely they need to bring in a replacement, and as David said, that clock is ticking.
Yeah, I think, first of all, I think what's gone on there, you know, behind the scenes, it looks like they need to get him out the club, and I think that's the main thing. I think bringing someone in, I'm not sure about that at the moment. I think it's just getting him out the dressing room. There's a lot of youngsters in there who look up to him, and I think they could have a wrong influence.
Just one little one. I mean, if Aubameyang does leave on loan to Barcelona, Eddie Nketiah more likely to stay at the Emirates?
I would have said so. I've always said that anyway. You know, he's a young kid. He's only 22, so for me, from past experiences I talked about at Middlesbrough, you know, I'd stay at Arsenal. They're the creme de la creme football club still. I know people go, oh, they're not top, but they're still a great club, and, you know, stay there as long as you can stay there.
OK, Paul Merson, pleasure to have your company here on Transfer Deadline Day. You are going to stay with us for the next hour, so there'll be much more from Paul Merson and much more on the situation with Pierre-Emerick Aubameyang and that move to Barcelona looking likely. Jess and Jasper will be up here next, keeping across all the latest here on Deadline Day.